Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 origin continent based on novel. So let's start. God King Zhongfu looked at the purple-robed woman and Luo Feng, feeling uneasy. My identity has been exposed, yet I can't see through either of them. Whether it was the invisible force released by the purple-robed woman, or the two golden lights emitted by Luo Feng, God King Zhongfu found it hard to speculate on their identities. The enemy was hidden while he was in the open, which naturally made God King Zhongfu uneasy. No matter what, no one in the land of origin can kill me. God King Zhongfu had some confidence. At any cost, I must fight for the 1,000 Dreams fruit. With the treasures I have accumulated before, I can exchange for a piece of ultimate realm primordial bloodline. With his status, he naturally had dealings with 3 alien races, and he was well aware that the land of origin, this source world, was gradually entering its final phase. Once the ultimate destruction came, one either had to comprehend a complete great Tao to withstand the huge destruction, or cultivate an ultimate realm life form. Throughout the ages, failing to comprehend a complete great Tao, he also needed to prepare a backup plan. With his level of accumulation, by converting to cultivation, with the aid of ultimate realm primordial bloodline, he could easily cultivate an ultimate realm life form. The only issue was that a piece of ultimate realm primordial bloodline had to be personally refined by an ancestor, which was a great cost, and also very expensive. The 1,000 Dreams fruit is mine, the purple-robed woman declared, looking at God King Zhongfu and Luo Feng. In terms of life forms and realms, I am above them. It would be a joke if I lost to the two of them. She was very confident. And her confidence stemmed from her strength. This is my first time clashing with someone at the same level. Emperors Jiufeng and Di Wu, without the supporting Super God King grade secret treasures, indeed have less deterrence, Luo Feng thought. Emperors and monarchs, most of them had no avatars, and those who came to the deep regions of the dream domain were few. Those with only one true body, when venturing out, carried a full set of beyond God King level secret treasures, their combat power comparable to that of the Lord of 10,000 Realms, Sector Beast level. If they were within their own cities, their strength was even more terrifying. But without external objects, their deterrence greatly diminished. God King Zhongfu and this mysterious powerhouse, even without secret treasures, are quite formidable. Luo Feng did not dare to underestimate them. The 3 powerhouses each had their own thoughts. Suddenly, silently, an attack came. Rip! Luo Feng felt a stabbing pain in his soul, and an invisible force stripping away the life force of his world life form. This concept of life stripping was extremely sophisticated. But Luo Feng's 24 forms were too stable, and his world life form too vast. The conceptual life stripping couldn't shake Luo Feng at all. Well played, Zhongfu. Luo Feng was quite surprised. The great Tao of life origin, if one fully mastered the Tao, would also have no weaknesses, and the attack aspect was equally terrifying. Life stripping targeted not only the physical body, but also the soul. The great Tao is interconnected. Many great Taos have some common aspects. For example, the great Tao of life also has a death branch. Although it's much simpler compared to the death origin Tao. Similarly, the great Tao of life origin encompasses the entire concept of life, affecting the soul as well. But it is far less specialized than those focused purely on the soul. Life intertwined with causality makes for such a bizarre attack, Luo Feng thought. God King Zhongfu was shocked. My life stripping isn't affecting either of them at all. Are they both ultimate realm beings? What was clearly a powerful move, but the black-robed, golden-masked powerhouse and the purple-robed woman, both their physical bodies and souls were too strong. God King Zhongfu couldn't shake them at all. Since God King Zhongfu has made his move, isn't this black-robed powerhouse going to act? the purple-robed woman said with a laugh, watching Luo Feng. If I make a move, you might not stand a chance, said Luo Feng, wearing a black robe and golden mask, his significant foundational strength in both body and soul giving him full confidence. Even if emperors and monarchs had a complete set of superior secret treasures, Luo Feng was unafraid at this moment. Not to mention in the deep region, where no one carried secret treasures, Luo Feng was certainly confident. God King Zhongfu stared at this black-robed powerhouse. Ha ha ha, the purple-robed woman laughed loudly, just make your move. All right. Luo Feng nodded. Sir, the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In an instant. At that moment, both the purple-robed woman and God King Zhongfu felt the world vanish, seeing only Luo Feng's calm eyes. Those eyes transformed into an incredibly vast star, slowly rolling, but carrying an unmatched might. It naturally pressed down towards the spiritual will of the purple-robed woman and God King Zhongfu. Luo Feng's spiritual will, at this moment, was completely unrestrained. Even the application of the Lai Yuan technique was more profound. Of course, Luo Feng didn't know the true identities of these two, and he still held back. In the past, once he deployed the Lai Yuan technique, he would completely annihilate the enemy, crushing their spiritual will into nothing. But this time, Luo Feng only intended to crush the spiritual will of these two into pieces, while letting them survive. If these two adversaries could retain some remnants of their spiritual will, they would not die. It was just a contest for treasures, after all. Luo Feng had no intention to kill, and he even suspected these two might be members of the reincarnation tower. Boom. Though it seemed slow, the spiritual attack was instantaneous. This vast will star first rolled over God King Zhongfu. God King Zhongfu's spiritual will indeed was crushed into fragments, these remnants. Luo Feng did not pursue them to the end. The will star then rolled over the spiritual will of the purple-robed woman. Eh? Luo Feng frowned slightly. When will star rolled over the purple-robed woman's spiritual will, he felt tremendous resistance. When it touched her spiritual will, he also found it incredibly resilient. Boom. Despite the collision causing numerous cracks in her spiritual will, she still withstood it. Her spiritual will has not surpassed the beyond God King level. But she held on. Luo Feng instantly determined, her physical body presents a strong obstruction to my spiritual will, she must be an ultimate realm life form. Her spiritual will is clearly that of the God King ultimate realm will, yet her defensive capability is extremely strong. At this moment, Luo Feng was greatly confused. Who was this purple-robed woman? Ah! God King Zhongfu felt as if his spirit was about to collapse, thinking of facing Emperor Qing and primogenitor Yang Feng. Both Emperor Qing and primogenitor Yang Feng had once attacked him spiritually. Emperor Qing and primogenitor Yang Feng had used many deadly moves, even eliminating all his apparent avatars and resurrection carriers. This black-robed powerhouse showed mercy. If he wished, he could have destroyed this avatar of mine, God King Zhongfu thought, his spirit in tatters, further influenced by the deep domain of the dream realm. However, because the spiritual will of the external, life-saving avatar remained intact, it also allowed this avatar to swiftly recover its spiritual will. Such is the nature of spiritual will. To exterminate, all avatar spiritual wills must be completely destroyed. Otherwise, as long as one avatar's spirit remains intact, the others can recover. I accept my defeat, said God King Zhongfu, and using the causality escape technique, he vanished without a trace. Under such terrifying will, he had no way of fighting back. Boom. Luo Feng, however, looked at the purple-robed woman and began to use different attack moves from the Lai Yuan technique. Aside from his most familiar will star, he also created a will blade light, targeting her with all his might, but the purple-robed woman completely withstood them. She withstood his spiritual attack, and even resisted the influences of the deep domain of the dream realm. I admire you. Although I didn't bring any super-secret treasures, the purple-robed woman looked at Luo Feng. The one who came here is just one of my avatars, likely allowing me to use about 70% of my heart force to resist. You are already quite remarkable. Will beyond God King level on the land of origin is few and far between. You are neither Emperor Qing, Emperor Ming, nor the Lord of 10,000 realms. The purple-robed woman looked at Luo Feng and smiled gently. I didn't expect a new existence of will beyond God King level to emerge from the land of origin. Luo Feng looked at her. I was a bit arrogant just now. You truly are formidable, clearly possessing the God King ultimate realm will, yet in front of me, you still have the strength to resist. This battle is not yet decided, the purple-robed woman said, even with just 30% of my heart force, I can still use ultimate realm moves. Please, Luo Feng said with a smile as he looked at her. The purple-robed woman looked back at Luo Feng, no longer holding back, having continuously endured the torment of terrifying spiritual will attacks. Her eyes were cold. An invisible attack descended. Luo Feng's physical body immediately began to suffer various levels of attacks, material, energy, and rule operations, all aimed to damage Luo Feng's physical body and hurt his soul. Yet Luo Feng's very essence was like a vast world, operating naturally, minor damages naturally healing. His soul was also a robust base, led by a strong spiritual will, with the Lai Yuan technique in operation. It casually mitigated these minor soul-level perturbations. Her physical body is not an ultimate realm life form. It does not feel like the great Tao perfection. But his body is too vast, his energy reserve too powerful. The damage I caused on various levels, he instantly recovered, thought the purple-robed woman, feeling a chill in her heart. When a body's size reaches a certain extent, quantity can compensate for minor qualitative differences. You can also take one of my moves, Luo Feng said with a smile, reaching out and gently pointing. A drop of blood flew out from the tip of Luo Feng's finger. This drop of blood, however, contained about 1/10 of the reserves of this powerful avatar of Luo Feng. The purple-robed woman, upon seeing the drop of blood, sensed a terrifying fear. This drop of blood had some nuances of the blood-colored scales deep within the Star Tower. Luo Feng had always pursued using the 9 branches of the Great Tao of Life and Death, trying his best to decipher the secret patterns mysteries of the blood-colored scales. But so far, the strongest was the fusion of 2 of the 7-branch techniques. At this moment, Luo Feng used a 7-branch fusion technique, blood dripping. This technique, the more energy incorporated, the more terrifying its potency. Now Luo Feng had integrated the energy reserve of a perfect divine body into one move, which was the limit of spiritual control he could achieve. Buzz. The drop of blood, just as it flew out from Luo Feng's fingertip, instantly tainted the skin on the purple-robed woman's finger. The moment it tainted her, this drop of blood instantly corroded, madly seeping into every part of the purple-robed woman's body, every life structure within her. As each life structure was completely eroded, that part of force was transformed, becoming part of the energy within Luo Feng's drop of blood. Absorption, transformation. Even the power containing my will can be taken, the purple-robed woman was shocked. This surpasses ordinary ultimate realm secret techniques, already having that enlightenment might of the Lord of 10,000 realms. The so-called enlightenment from the Lord of 10,000 realms could also convert other powers into part of his own. My avatar can only maintain 30% of my heart force. It can't withstand the erosion of this drop of blood. I must rely on my true self's power. The purple-robed woman looked at Luo Feng, knowing she had to give up. I admire you. Having said that, she instantly left the dream realm space. As she fled the dream realm space, the drop of blood also automatically separated from her, for it contained the energy reserve of a perfect divine body, which Luo Feng obviously could not let her take away. Combining Lai Yuan technique and the 7 branches secret method, blood dripping, I went all out, and it was only enough to repel one of her avatars. Luo Feng watched her leaving direction remotely. I wonder who she really is. Luo Feng looked toward the only black fruit on the fruit tree in the distant cliff crevice, the 1,000 Dreams fruit that had been contested by 5 powerful individuals. Now, he alone stood there. The more critical the moment, the more cautious I must be. I can't let other powerhouses steal it in the end. Luo Feng's spiritual will instantly spread out, enveloping the vast surrounding area to guard against any enemies who might silently come to snatch the treasure. God King Zhongfu and Di Jiufeng were each incredibly skilled in their escape techniques. Only when his spiritual will covered a vast region did Luo Feng feel relieved. This battle also showed the difference in strength, Luo Feng reflected. Among them 4, without any treasures, Di Wu's weaker avatar was the weakest. Di Jiufeng and God King Zhongfu were on par. The purple-robed woman was the strongest. Without the Lai Yuan technique, I might not even be able to defeat the purple-robed woman. Even though his spiritual will was strong, without the Lai Yuan technique, the impact on the purple-robed woman's mind would be greatly reduced, allowing her to unleash even stronger power. This is just one of her avatars. Once she utilizes her true body combined with super-secret treasures, her deterrence will dramatically increase. Luo Feng pondered. This battle has also proved that my heavenly light silver shuttle, a fusion of 6 branches secret technique, is comparable to the moves of the ultimate realm, not inferior to those of the emperor. My blood dripping, a fusion of 7 branches secret technique, is even generally stronger than their techniques, Luo Feng contemplated, summarizing his experiences from this battle. The great Tao of life and death, as a fusion Tao, was strong in each branch. 6 branches fusion was at the level of ordinary ultimate realm techniques. 7 branches fusion was evidently stronger than ultimate realm techniques. The great Tao of life and death, if I could merge all 9 branches, the power of such techniques would far surpass the techniques of a single complete great Tao, Luo Feng thought. Indeed, the power of the great Tao of life and death far surpassed individual Tao of life, destruction, and space. While Luo Feng was in the infinite space treasure vault studying about perfect inheritances and special grade inheritances, he had already learned about the terrifying nature of the fusion Tao. For instance, the fusion of time and space forming the time-space Tao was unimaginably powerful. Despite the fusion Tao being extremely formidable and inclusive, the difficulty of cultivation was also much higher. Luo Feng sat cross-legged, his spiritual will spreading in all directions, silently on guard. He waited for about 3 days. On that fruit tree, the surface of the black fruit suddenly intensified in purple gloss, its dazzling purple light illuminating the vast surrounding area and emitting a faint fragrance. It's maturing, Luo Feng, sitting cross-legged, immediately stood up and looked at the 1,000 Dreams fruit. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh tilde tilde tilde. Not far from the cliff, there was noise from the water in the pond, and a black head emerged from the water, followed by a massive creature flying out of it. I've been waiting for you. Luo Feng had already explored the surroundings. Within this vast range, there was only this one native dream realm creature, and from its aura, it was still within his handling capacity. That's why Luo Feng had set his sights on this 1,000 Dreams fruit. In the deeper regions of the dream realm, treasures worth over 1 billion merit points were naturally not limited to the 1,000 Dreams fruit. However, the creatures around those treasures were far too terrifying. This was the only kind Luo Feng saw a possibility to pick for now. Go. Luo Feng stood there, and suddenly rolling river water spread out. The the vastness of a galaxy instantly enveloping the surrounding 100 billion kilometers, naturally binding and wrapping that black native creature. Roar. The native creature, resembling a turtle, let out a roar, emitting endless cold air, which instantly froze a large amount of the Silver River water surrounding it. Once free from the river's constraint, the massive creature charged toward the Thousand Dreams fruit, but a drop of blood had contaminated its body surface. 7 branches secret method, blood dripping. This single drop of blood swiftly eroded its entire body. The black native creature turned a blackish-red color and let out angry howls. However, under the erosion, its strength greatly diminished, and it was again bound by the endless river water. This time, it couldn't break free. The roars continued, and the cold air erupted. But the blood contamination and the river domain's restraint had already ensnared it. "I hope there are no complications," Luo Feng muttered as he watched the Thousand Dreams fruit, which emitted a fragrance, its dazzling purple light visible from a vast area of this space. "Not good." Luo Feng frowned slightly, as he saw a dense swarm of red-scale creatures approaching from a distance. Each of these red-scale creatures wasn't very powerful, merely at the ordinary godly king tier, yet their numbers were overwhelming, impossible to count at a glance. "It's the red-scale species. I knew it wouldn't be easy to harvest the Thousand Dreams fruit." Luo Feng identified the opponents and felt he could still contend. Having spent over a century in the deep area of the Dream Realm, he was very clear about the strength of this red-scale species group. Red-scale species, seemingly countless, in reality, they all share one life, operating under a collective vague consciousness. Luo Feng, basing his actions on past intelligence, immediately devised a plan. He couldn't defeat the red-scale species, but he could delay until the Thousand Dreams fruit was completely ripe. The massive red-scale species swarmed in. Suddenly, a grand surge of galaxy water enveloped them, restraining the red-scale species. But the creatures, united in strength, easily broke through the water's restraints, charging straight for the Thousand Dreams fruit. "Go!" Luo Feng used the massive world life form transformed into endless river water to block the red-scale species, while also binding and entangling the massive turtle-like creature. Under Luo Feng's subtle guidance, the two forces collided. The red-scale species' nature was to sweep through everything in their path. They similarly ravaged the massive turtle-like creature, and in the blink of an eye, the creature was partially eroded, its body massively shrinking. The drop of blood from Luo Feng had already rapidly receded. Roar. The massive turtle-like creature roared unwillingly, trying to escape. But trapped under the surging river water, it couldn't break free. In just over a dozen breaths' time, it was completely eroded by the red-scale species, leaving no remains behind. That at least helped delay for a dozen breaths. Luo Feng slightly smiled, and then immediately, with a thought, a drop of blood swiftly confronted the red-scale species, starting to erode them. Hiss. Several red-scale creatures were eroded, turning into part of the blood. But many more red-scale creatures obliterated a vast amount of blood. Both sides eroded and obliterated each other. Whoosh. The blood-dripping secret method's erosion had some effect on the red-scale species. But their destructive power was terrifying, and Luo Feng's drop of blood, containing the energy reserve of a perfect divine body, was now being rapidly depleted. "The blood-dripping secret method is too consuming," Luo Feng noted while keeping an eye on the Thousand Dreams fruit, and closely monitoring the consumption of the blood-dripping secret method. In the time it took to drink a pot of wine, the drop of blood was completely exhausted, and the red-scale species had only dwindled by about 1/1000th of their size. The entire species swarmed toward the Thousand Dreams fruit again. Seal. Amid the vast silver river, a towering hand suddenly formed. This towering hand, with a gloomy abyss faintly visible in its palm, directly enveloped everything below. Heaven and earth twisted. Everything shifted. Imprison. Suppress. The entire red scale species vanished in an instant. Luo Feng appeared, looking at his left hand, where the palm world in his hand was imprisoning this red scale species. Over the centuries, Luo Feng, after contemplating the Star Tower secret patterns, had deciphered two 7 branches fusion techniques. One was the secret technique blood dripping, and the other was cage, capable of completely suppressing and imprisoning a space. This red scale species is truly troublesome. My palm world formed into a cage, inherently with multiple spatial seals. Yet this red scale species managed to consume space, and even gnaw at the world membrane of my palm world. Luo Feng immediately replenished his energy continuously to maintain the integrity of the palm cage. Although in terms of killing efficiency, the palm cage is somewhat inferior to blood dripping. When it comes to trapping enemies, its efficiency is several times higher. Luo Feng deduced. With the same energy consumption, the palm cage could trap the red scale species for a longer duration. It's a pity I didn't dare to bring the Star Tower in here. If I had the Star Tower, I could have suppressed the entire red scale species long ago. Luo Feng could only ruefully think about it. He dared not take the risk. Risk-taking might succeed 100 or 1,000 times, but if it failed just once, the Star Tower would be gone. All the treasures of the Dream Realm combined were, in his heart, less significant than the Star Tower. Luo Feng, while watching the 1,000 Dreams fruit, maintained the integrity of the palm cage. Every moment, his body consumed a great deal of energy. Suddenly, the radiance of the 1,000 Dreams fruit converged, becoming utterly ordinary, and its fragrance completely restrained. It's finally fully matured. Luo Feng rejoiced. A stream of the vast river swiftly swept past the 1,000 Dreams fruit, harvesting it immediately. A prepared treasure box instantly secured the fruit. Treasure in hand, time to go. Luo Feng's palm cage instantly released the red scale species. He himself, however, flashed with black light, having already escaped from this dream realm space. The released red scale species roamed angrily around, unable to find their foe and destructively eroding the surroundings. Luo Feng arrived outside in the perimeter area of the Dream Realm, looking at the entrance areas sealed by the 2 ancient countries' imperial clans. Whoosh! With a flash of black light, Luo Feng instantly crossed through the sealing array of the 2 ancient countries and out of the exit, and with another flash, he was already back within Huyang City. This was one of Luo Feng's 6 branches fusion techniques, the black light escape technique. Luo Feng's 6 branches fusion techniques, aside from the earlier Great Extinction style, the later deduced Heavenly Light Silver Shuttle, and Black Light Escape technique, were similar, all exceptionally swift. The speed was as fast as thought. The thought arrived, the movement followed. Thus, escaping the Heavenly Light Silver Shuttle was inevitable. Unavoidable. The Black Light Escape technique, in a single thought, moved from the outer layer of the Dream Realm to outside the exit, forcibly penetrating the entire formation. If it were in the land of origin, a single thought could move from one end of the land of origin to the other. This was the might of the Ultimate Realm escape skill. Each move of the Ultimate Realm had its exceptional qualities. Like the Wuxin God King's hidden heaven escape skill, even the formations of the 2 ancient countries in the Dream Realm couldn't detect it. Some powerful individual has forcibly crossed the formation. The 2 ancient countries' imperial clans were all stirred, but given the limited strength of the garrison at the entrance of the Dream Realm, when even the Reincarnation Tower teams dared to make a strong assault, Luo Feng forcibly breaking out was something their formations simply couldn't stop. Outside the exit of the Dream Realm, a purple-robed woman stood in the distance, patiently waiting. Whoosh! The black-robed man with a golden mask appeared instantaneously at the exit, and then disappeared again in an instant. He's come out. The purple-robed woman watched the scene. His escape skill has also reached the ultimate realm level, but his technique carries a trace of the path of destruction. Who is he? The purple-robed woman was quite curious. Whoosh! Silently, she disappeared without a trace. Tianmu Kingdom. Beyond the two ancient countries on the whole land of origin, the entities that could be considered first-rate powers included Tianmu Kingdom, Wanjie Kingdom, and East Extreme Domain. Of these, Tianmu Kingdom was the most low-profile. Whoosh! The purple-robed woman arrived deep inside a palace where a handsome young man was observing a mysterious painting hanging in the air, with countless secret patterns flowing on it. Whoosh! The purple-robed woman directly transformed into a streak of light, flying into the body of the handsome young man. It's a pity that this attempt failed. I couldn't help Big Brother seize a share of the 1,000 Dreams fruit. The handsome young man looked at the mysterious painting and shook his head slightly. As a sector beast, relying on one's own cultivation is truly difficult. This secret pattern book is utterly beyond me, it's too hard. This video will end here.